Before we get started, a quick request: if you're a serious history enthusiast or someone who values truth in a world full of misinformation, make sure you hit like and subscribe to History Reborn Alive. It genuinely helps this channel stay alive, independent, and focused on delivering research-level content without shortcuts. Now let me tell you something every historian eventually learns the hard way. The biggest threats to real history aren't wars, lost libraries, or destroyed artifacts. It's lies. It's the stories that were never true and yet somehow became accepted as historical fact for decades, sometimes centuries. And the worst part is that many of these hoaxes weren't the work of amateurs. Some were carefully engineered by governments, scientists, religious institutions, opportunists, and master fraudsters who understood exactly how human belief works. The more you study history, the more you realize that entire nations have been manipulated by fabricated discoveries, forged documents, staged events, and deliberate misinformation. Understanding these hoaxes isn't just about learning what went wrong. It's about sharpening your instincts as a historian so you can recognize flawed sources, manipulated evidence, and the psychological pressure that makes even experts fall for a lie. In this documentary, I'm walking you through 33 of the most insane historical hoaxes that fooled entire populations. These aren't shallow trivia points. Each one carries a lesson you can use in real historical research, survivalist planning, and everyday critical thinking. So let's get started. The Shroud of Turin demonstrates the longevity of religious relic fraud. The linen cloth bearing the image of a man resembling Christ was long believed to be authentic. Radiocarbon testing later showed it originated in the Middle Ages. This doesn't dismiss spirituality, but historically, it confirms the medieval relic industry created countless profitable forgeries. Anyone researching religious artifacts must follow the same approach: verify material age, production methods, and regional evidence before accepting claims. The moon landing hoax theory shows how belief persists without evidence. Though not a hoax itself, the conspiracy claiming NASA faked the moon landings demonstrates how misinformation spreads when distrust outweighs expertise. As a historian, this teaches you to study not just events, but the environment that allows conspiracies to survive. The Loch Ness Monster photo exposes how single images shape legends. The 1934 surgeon's photograph became the core of the Nessie myth. Decades later, the hoax was admitted. This is a reminder that early photography was easy to manipulate and that a single image should never be treated as a definitive historical record. The Cottingley fairies highlight how innocence can deceive experts. Two girls produced fake fairy photos in 1917 using cardboard cutouts. Even Arthur Conan Doyle believed them. The lesson here is humility. When a claim's charm outweighs its evidence, step back and review basics: lighting, shadows, perspective, materials. The Fiji mermaid shows how spectacle drives belief. P.T. Barnum stitched a monkey torso onto a fishtail and charged crowds to see it. The public wanted wonder and paid for it. To apply this lesson, always ask, who profits from the extraordinary claim, and how does sensationalism serve their goals? The Bat Creek stone reveals archaeological fraud for national identity. This stone inscription allegedly proved ancient Hebrew explorers reached America. It wasn't real. The Smithsonian debunked it decades later. This becomes a method for evaluating archaeology: question any artifact that conveniently rewrites national origin stories. The Kensington rune stone shows how immigrant pride influences acceptance. Found in Minnesota in 1898, the stones supposedly proved Vikings settled the region. Linguistic analysis later showed 19th century Scandinavian English influence, not medieval Norse. The example teaches that cultural identity often pushes communities to accept questionable artifacts. The Vinland map controversy teaches caution with one-of-a-kind documents. The map allegedly predated Columbus and depicted part of North America. Ink analysis later exposed it as a partial forgery. This is a reminder to treat isolated documents without supporting context as highly suspect. The Great Moon Hoax reveals media's willingness to chase spectacle. In 1835, the New York Sun claimed astronomers had discovered moon civilizations. Sales skyrocketed. The strategy remains relevant today. To evaluate news sources, compare claims to independent primary documentation, not popularity. The Ghost Army demonstrates hoaxes can be strategic tools. During World War II, the United States created inflatable tanks, fake radio signals, and staged troop movements to fool German intelligence. This wasn't a malicious hoax, but a survival strategy. The lesson is that deception, when documented by multiple independent sources, can be historical fact, not fraud. The Tassiday tribe incident warns against romanticizing the exotic. In the 1970s, a supposedly primitive, untouched Filipino tribe was revealed to have been staged for political manipulation. This shows that anthropological claims must be verified with long-term, repeatable observation. The Stonehenge restoration hiding in plain sight. Many photos used in early 20th century publications cropped out scaffolding and cranes, leading people to believe the site was untouched. The lesson: verify historical photographs with full archival context. The Salem witch trials spectral evidence hoax. Many confessions were coerced, staged, or fabricated under pressure. Understanding this teaches you to analyze legal history through the lens of psychological duress and system failure. Dead Sea Scrolls forgeries appear even in modern times. The museum market continues to face newly produced forgeries. This teaches practical steps: analyze ink composition, check provenance documentation, and verify excavation legitimacy. The Hitler photo manipulations. Nazi propagandists routinely airbrushed images to remove or insert figures. This example, well, it really underscores the need to cross-reference photos with textual records. The fake Anastasia claim. Several women claimed to be the surviving daughter of the last Russian Tsar. DNA later disproved them. The case teaches that eyewitness memory, especially trauma-based, is unreliable without scientific confirmation. The Fiji cannibal fork myth. Many decorative cannibal forks sold to tourists were never used historically. This warns against treating souvenir artifacts as representative of true cultural practices. The Calaveras skull shows how miners manipulated scientists. This ancient skull found in California turned out to be planted in a mine shaft. A practical takeaway, honestly, is to check whether artifacts match sediment layers and geological context. The Drake's plate of brass hoax reveals institutional embarrassment. Stanford historians admitted they were fooled by an obvious fake. The real lesson here is that academic authority doesn't guarantee accuracy. The Spartan black broth myth. Often repeated as a grim Spartan delicacy, historical sources indicate exaggeration. This is a reminder that ancient historians frequently dramatized rival cultures. The Trojan horse as a literal object. Some scholars suggest the story refers to an earthquake or siege engine, not a wooden horse. This teaches you to interpret ancient texts symbolically, not just literally. The pyramids built by slaves narrative. Archaeological evidence shows paid workers, not slaves, built them. The lesson is clear. Always revisit long-standing assumptions with new evidence. Medieval dragons in chronicles. Many dragon sightings were actually misidentified crocodiles, whales, or just exaggerations. Apply this by comparing descriptions to known fauna. If you found this guide useful and you want more deep dives into real history without the fluff or shortcuts, make sure you like this video and subscribe to History Reborn Alive. Share it with fellow historians and survival-minded researchers who value truth in a world full of myths. Your support keeps this channel alive and able to create more documentary-level content.